All right, another week is over, and I am proud to say that so many students have become self-sufficient. They're making trades on their own, and that is my whole goal. As you know, I had a pretty rough week. My Instagram was hacked, so I've been dealing with that. I'm trying to find this bastard hacker, working with the LAPD and FBI. So this tracker or hacker, I'm so exhausted. I don't even know what's going on right now. He didn't get anywhere else, but that's bad enough. Okay. So congrats to students. I got to say, amazing job. I was just trading and checking the chat room intermittently because, I had a crazy week. I also had a photo shoot for a big new magazine article. But Abdul, awesome little morning spike here. This guy was Paul Ponciano. I'm just mentioning a few students. There's way too many who are making a few $100s a day. And while many people on Wall Street would look down on that, I know that a few $100s a day, especially added up over time, really does change people's lives. And it's this skill to making a few $100s a day so that you don't need to have a normal job, or you can do this in addition to your normal job. So this is awesome. Made $180 in 5 minutes. Not much, but that's a lot for me. Hey, Paul, you don't have to qualify that, okay? $180 in 5 minutes is good for anybody. I don't care how rich you are. Here is Santiago. He bought ICLD long at 225, sold it at 246, and he made 210 bucks on a $2,600 investment, roughly 9%. And that's in a morning. These are all morning spikers, by the way. That's what's been hot. Those of you in the chat room, congrats. Thank you for your help. While I've been a little preoccupied, the chat room, my newsletter chat room, the Tim Miller's chat room, has penny stocking silver students, has challenge students. We have nearly 1,000 students in there every day between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern. It is mandatory. I would say even maybe 8:30 a.m. Eastern, but definitely by 9 a.m. Eastern, it's mandatory to be in there because every single day this week, whether it's ICLD, VLTC, AMRS, or OHRP, was that the other one? I don't even know. There's too many stocks in play right now. Every single day we've had a morning spiker this week, and you guys have nailed it on your own, which makes me so proud. Here is Olivier saying, in only 1 week of stock trading, I made $400, and that's just the beginning. Thank you, Timothy Sykes. Well, thank you. Thank you for having the right attitude. Here is Braxton, passed his goal of $100 in trading profits, up 140. Every day gets better and better. Thank you, Braxton, for having the right attitude. And here's Drake in VLTC at 9:15, out at 10:32. Only at 100 shares, but it's his second trade better and 5 times on his first. It's all about improving, and that is awesome. So today I actually did some trading. This is THCZ. It had a little morning spike here to the mid 1.3 range, and I bought it, and it's now in the mid 14 range. This is a 20-day chart, nothing really that much to look at. It's consolidated well in the 12s. The peak here was 14.5, and the peak here was 15.2. Today it got up to 0.147, and in the afternoon 0.145. I think that this touches 0.145 or 0.152 next week because this is a former runner. You always have to watch former runners. You don't see it in the past 200-day chart, but in the 1-year chart, this stock went from basically a penny all the way up to 30 cents. And now it's down, and it has huge consolidation. People are asking me, why do I care? Normally I don't buy stocks this low. But when you have this first day breakout, and you can see the volume as a breakout over the past few weeks too, you have to look at other past runners and see how they do. You can never forget past runners. VLTC, great example. Huge run up. And it had one spike right here, which failed, and then it came down a little more. And now the second spike, it's doubled from the 4s to nearly 10-ish on really minimal news, if any. Maybe Icon's still holding. Big whoop. No real new news on this one. And because it's a former runner, even though it's had failed spikes once and failed spikes twice, this is really the failed spike. This is just kind of a bounce attempt. But this was a failed spike, and now this time is a successful spike. And that's kind of what is happening with THCZ, where you had the big run up and you had like a bounce buy and a bounce buy. This was a failed spike right here. And now we are getting a second attempted spike. So this might fail, okay? I'm not saying like, oh my God, this stock is going to $1. It's the best stock ever. It might fail. but it might also succeed. And while I don't know if it's going to fail or succeed, I'm not psychic, I have put myself in a position to profit whether or not it fails or succeeds. That's the beauty of dip buying, because I bought this in the mid 113s. So it's now in the mid 114s. I'm up a penny a share, big whoop. But the cool thing is that I think it's going to retest this high of 0.15. And if it, let's say, double tops at 0.15, I sell and I make, a penny and a half, which is, pathetic. But maybe, just maybe, it'll break this 0.15 because today's breakout is not on no news. Unlike VLTC, this company actually reported solid, solid in quotes, solid for a little tiny, 12 cent a share company, revenues, and it sounds like a positive earnings press release. And I don't try and judge earnings winners. A lot of people say, oh, this company reported good numbers, but the stock isn't spiking. It deserves to be an earnings winner. Or this company is spiking and the earnings were terrible. I care about the reaction to earnings. And this spiked right away when earnings came out. And it held its spike and it actually, kind of finished strongly. So I have a very small position. I'm not saying go big in this, but always, always, always give earnings winners a chance to run. Sometimes they only run for one day. It does happen. It's not out of the realm of possibility. But sometimes they run for 2 days. Sometimes they run for a week. Sometimes 2 weeks. So I love buying earnings winners, especially on former runners. Because when you have an earnings winner and you have a former runner and it's on a big dip, what is the risk? Tell me that. A lot of people were criticizing my buy in this today in the 13s. What is my risk? Worst case, absolute worst case. I think my original buy was 0.1333, 1.133, right? And I was buying it because I thought that it could, break the day high. Let's say it didn't break the day high. I think the day high was like 0.134 at the time. If I'm wrong, what's the worst that it's going to happen? I mean, it might go down to 0.125. I might lose like 0.8 of a penny a share. Or at worst, I'm going to lose a penny or a penny and a half a share, and I'll take the loss because I'll cut losses quickly because I'll be wrong that the earnings winner didn't hold its gains. But I'm holding it through the weekend because I want to give it time to see what it can do. See if it can touch 0.15. And if it touches 0.15, can it break out past 1.15? That is what you have to do with earnings winners. I already took some profits when it didn't really, spike as much as I wanted. But I just did that just to keep my position smaller, and that way I could add to my position later, just in case. And sure enough, it finished strong, and it was strong all day. So I think this has a very good chance of touching 0.15. And if it touches that, it could break out. And if it breaks out, then, it's a nice little breakout, maybe 0.16, maybe 0.17, maybe even 0.18. That's a stretch to say that it can go up, 40%. But it can go up. Earnings winners can. And VLTC, which I should have been buying today, but I've been off my game, so I don't really fault myself that much. This shows exactly how much former runners can go up. And this one has no news. So I am long THCZ, small position. I'm watching VLTC. Get in the chat room Monday morning, early on. I want you there. The chat room has been nailing morning spike after morning spike. What was it? Was it OHRP? It was OHRP. It's faded the past few days a little bit, but it's choppy. But the chat room nailed this morning spike. Everyone in the chat room was talking about it here pre-market in the high 2s before it went to the high 3s same day. And then everyone was talking about it right here in the low 3s before it went to 4. Again, so the chat room nailed both of these morning spikes. AMRS turned out to be a failed morning spike, but the chat room had it right around 2-ish. So even if a spike fails, that's the beauty of trading. You don't have to just be in a stock and be like, oh, this stock spiked and then it failed. There was no money to be made. There was money to be made. You just have to be ready to take profits and you need to know the game. That's what my DVDs and video lessons and you challenge students. You now have access to so many webinars, and we now have 3 millionaires giving weekly webinars to trading challenge students. You have all the resources to see that you can actually buy and sell same day, or even buy or sell, after a day or two. OHRP was pretty good for a few days, and it's still towards its highs. So it's not always an intraday trade, but you have to be aware of which stocks are in play and which stocks are spiking. I actually found THCZ through the chat room. The chat room had already seen it spike up. They linked, or I don't even know if they linked. Maybe I found the earnings press release on my own. But I found it because the chat room was talking about it, and then I read the press release and I saw, wait a minute, this is an earnings play. And I, kind of decided that this could keep running all day and could have follow-up spiking implications next week. So I would love to see this hit 0.15. That's my whole goal. Not saying that it's going to double or triple like, these penny stock pumpers do. I just know that earnings can influence a stock for several days. And even if it fails to break the highs, I'll take a small loss or a small gain. But I think that the upside is greater than the downside, so I have a position. Anyways, guys, have a great weekend. I will be in the chat room much more next week. I hope you are there every single morning. Sometimes there's no plays. I can't guarantee plays, but I can guarantee you that our chat room, is the biggest chat room right now with low price stocks. So you have nearly 1,000 traders every morning looking for hot plays. It's a good place to be. See ya.